this computer. Okay, we are good to go. Back to share my screen. Oh my gosh. Okay, what do you see? Do you see my email?
I do. A Gmail. Yep. Yeah, there's your YouTube.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, admit.
Yep.
All right.
One of the things I wanted to explain, I have a lot of people are like, well, what's Refresh? Like, how did that come about? And so really Refresh, you guys, it was kind of birthed out of heartbreak, to be honest with you, because I was seeing so many women just walking around their lives so stressed out, so overextended, so overworked, so overwhelmed. And I just kept seeing that. I thought, you know what? It kind of was really breaking my heart to see women just surviving when I knew they were meant to thrive. So a lot of times I know you're going to find things you're passionate about. So pay attention to where your compassion is. And here's what I know. I know you're distracted, yes? But I know you also want what God has for you. I know that you have desire to see change and to see improvement in your life. I know it's hard though to get clear on what those changes you want to be when you're so busy with the day-to-day routine, right? And so that's what this is all about. And this weekend, you're able, when you can remove yourself from the everyday environment, you're able to really get clear on what matters. So a refreshed, revitalized mind is able to sort out what's important and what's not. And that's what's going to happen for each and every one of us this weekend, is you're going to leave with a renewed clarity of your purpose. Isn't that exciting?
All right, welcome ladies. Great to see everybody. Welcome to our Stop Surviving and Start Thriving webinar. And I was looking at what videos I wanted to show, and I saw that one, and it talks about thriving and stop surviving. So I was like, I got to show this one. So I just want to say welcome, welcome. So excited that you guys are here today. I hope you're like me and maybe you have your cup of tea or coffee or water. I know it's kind of like lunchtime. So we said, let's try to do a lunchtime, take a day. I love my coffee right after my lunch. I don't know. Does anybody have anything like that they love? So go ahead. I want you to put in the chat, just go ahead and say hello, tell us your name and where you're joining us from. And at the end, make sure you stay on at the end because we're going to do our summer care kit drawing. So that'll be at the very end. Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, I wanted to see you guys while I'm looking at that too, because I like to see y'all, because I'm going to have you be interactive in the chat too, and have you do a couple things. Y'all know I like some good interaction. So I just want to say I'm just so happy you're here. I see Tanya there from North Carolina. We got West Palm Beach in the house. Hey Natasha, what's happening? All right, Pensacola, good old South Carolina. I'm coming to South Carolina, Tammy, next month. San Antonio, we got Miami in the house. Woo, Miami. All right. Awesome. All right. Well, I am just want to say, that I know that if you're here, you're most likely a high achieving woman who feels like sometimes your plate just feels too full, and maybe you feel busy all the time. Maybe you just feel like you're busy, but not really seeing the fruit that you would have hoped to see in your life by now, or wanting, or maybe you just feel like you're just busy all the time. You ask someone, hey, how you doing? I'm just busy. I'm busy. So you always feel like you're running to the next thing and then going to the next thing. And we all know the frustration of just trying to survive each day, or trying to survive the week, or feeling that overwhelmed, or feeling unfulfilled by all these different busy things that we're doing. And so I want to tell y'all, I understand this, the desire for a healthier rhythm in our life, one that could bring more fulfillment and more harmony. So I want you to put in the chat right now the word relate. If you can relate to anything I just said, just go ahead and put relate in the chat. And I want y'all to do that because I think it's really comforting to know that we're not alone as women. We are all more alike then we're different. And, contrary to what you see on Instagram, the more that, we're struggling in this area than not, right? Like someone's not putting like their flat tire. I mean, sometimes they are, right? But you're usually not seeing all the hard stuff. Or when a woman is feeling overwhelmed, she's usually doesn't say that the way she shares her accomplishment of her kid or her business career. So, but we are here today because y'all, you haven't given up. You have hope that there is a better way. There is a better rhythm. So I want to just say I'm proud of you ladies for not giving up and to keep searching how to be better. So I actually want to start today with a little visualization. So I want everyone to close your eyes. So hopefully you're not driving, but just take a minute, take kind of a deep breath and just close your eyes. And I want you to travel back in time to your childhood. And I want you to think maybe around 12-ish. Okay. So in that childhood, right before maybe kind of that preteen years, you're still a kid, but you're also probably starting to dream about your future and to think about, what's coming in the next chapter of life. At 12, you're not worried if you have time to achieve it. You're not concerned about how much money it will take to do whatever those things that you're dreaming about. You're not considering whether you have what it takes or not. You are ignorant of your limitations. What is coming? So I want you to think, what is coming up for you? Keep your eyes closed. So keep your eyes closed, but what is coming up? And I want you to think about how you're feeling as you start to remember. Is it when you were again that 12-year-old self? Was it the places that you would travel? Was it the beautiful home you envisioned? Was it a thriving career? Was it a blissful marriage? Was it having a family and being a mom? Maybe it was having influence or making a difference in your community or in the world. So, what does it look like when you go back to your 12-year-old self and you have complete childlike faith with absolutely no limitations? What does that look like? So, I want you to allow yourself to be in this moment. Really feel it. Really picture, how are you feeling in this moment? Okay, I want you to open your eyes. And I want you to put in the chat, and this is really important because there's something I'm going to have us do after you put it in the chat. So I want you to put in the chat anything that came up. What was some of those things that you remembered at your 12-year-old self? So go ahead and just put it in the chat. I want us to kind of see what some of these things were. Okay, I see marriage, family, travel, freedom. Okay. More marriage, family, career, being a nurse. Okay, love it, love it. What else? What else came up for you? Love it, helping others. Hey, Sarah, marriage, family. Okay. So what happened, you guys? What happened? If I would say, oh, I love it, Irina, artists. Okay. So a lot of you, some of things probably did happen, but maybe some of you, it hasn't. And so you're like, man, I haven't revisited this in a while. And I did used to dream about this. So what happened? I'll tell you what happened. Life happened. Life beat you down. And somewhere along the lines, you probably started surviving and not thriving. You never set out to just survive. That was never a goal that you said, hey, I just hope to survive and get through the day. That's not what you were thinking about in your 12-year-old self. So maybe you can recognize, and some of you, maybe you have to think about it a little bit more, but maybe some of you, things came up immediately. You can recognize an event that happened that allowed you to give up on what you just pictured. Or maybe you realize when you were just around other people and those other people were rubbing off on you. We are who we hang with. We know that, right? Or maybe you had kids and then you were trying to balance work and kids and these extra things that you're supposed to do. I know that that's really what happened to me. I kept adding things to my plate and I wasn't removing these other things. And so as the kids' demands got bigger, it seemed like I had to survive the day. And I knew that that was not the mindset that I wanted to have. So today, y'all, I want to give you 5 things. Okay. So our topic today is to stop surviving and to start thriving. So I'm going to give you 5 things to stop doing and give you 5 things to replace those things to start doing. And if you've ever had to break a bad habit, how many of you have ever had to break a bad habit? I remember I was trying to break probably one of my really bad habits years and years ago. And I remember someone said, Amy, you can't, the reason you're struggling is you haven't replaced it with something else. So a lot of times we have to, in order to really be able to stop something, we have to replace it. So that's what I'm going to give you today. And before I do, I want to and tell y'all at the end, I'm really excited because we're going to have some collaboration. I'm going to bring a girlfriend and we're going to talk about thriving together and then show you a little video before the drawing. So it's going to be really, really fun. So I just wanted to tell y'all a little bit what to expect. But before I kind of give you these 5 things, I do want to give you the definition of surviving and thriving for the sake that I want you to do your own personal evaluation of where you feel like you're landing right now. And then at the end, when we're talking, we'll see if my girlfriend and I, if we have any Q&A, okay? But I want you to really identify this for yourself to see, am I thriving or am I surviving? What mode am I kind of in right now? All right, so here's for surviving. Surviving is the act of continuing to live or exist, especially in spite of difficult circumstances. It often involves merely getting through the day-to-day challenges without achieving a sense of fulfillment or progress. It can imply a state of just getting by, where one is focused on meeting basic needs and handling immediate, okay, that's a key word, immediate demands rather than experiencing growth or joy. You know, a lot of times in my coaching or my mastermind, we'll talk about the things that are pulling the urgent from you that's then taking away from the important. And that's what happens when we're in survival mode, you guys, you're not accomplishing those main big priorities or those big dreams or goals because you're just living in the day-to-day urgency. All right, and so thriving. So let's see where you land. Okay, thriving, on the other hand, is the act of growing, developing, and succeeding in a robust and healthy manner. It encompasses a state of flourishing, okay, big difference, where one not only meets basic needs, but also experiences continuous personal and professional growth, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. Thriving is characterized by a balanced and harmonious life where one feels energized, engaged, and content. You know, and that content, I'm always been talking lately about there is a place to find, you can be ambitious and content at the same time. God's really shown me how to do that. So again, but think about some of those keywords versus in some of the other ones, right? So getting by or versus flourishing or a sense of purpose. So if you find yourself energized right now, if you find yourself engaged in what's happening around you, you probably are more in a thriving mode versus if you're just in that getting by. All right. So you can put it in the chat if you want, or you don't have to. If you feel like you're more surviving or thriving, I'll leave that up to you if you want to share that or not. If you're joining us late, tell us where you're joining in from if you popped on the last few minutes. All right. So let's dive into these 5 things. So the first thing that you have to stop doing and start doing is you have to stop settling and start dreaming. That's the first thing. You guys, we need to dream bigger. And maybe you're like, Amy, I feel like I dream big. I would say dream even bigger. You know, we will always settle for less than what God has for us when we don't have a goal in front of us. That is so key. You know, if you have a clearly defined goal right now, I want you to put it in the chat. What is your clearly defined goal? And I want to just back up a second. And when I asked you guys before to put in the chat about what was that, actually here, we'll just do it here. Okay. So it starts with having a goal. If you have a goal, like I can almost within a few minutes of a conversation with someone, tell if they're thriving or surviving. And it's always linked back to a goal that they're pursuing at that time in their life. And when we can align our purpose and we can reflect on these core values in our life and identify the true desires, like the desires are from the Lord, and we can start thriving again. So I want you to know, like, if you have thrived and you don't feel like you are, you can again. And I will tell you, there have been definitely times where I can say I'm for sure thriving and times when I have not been. So it's okay. So it's not like once you're in survival, you're in thrive. Some of you, probably all of us have experienced thriving and then surviving, both, but we want to stay more in that thriving mode, right? So I want to, y'all know I always give you tangible things to work on, but I want you to reflect on what you truly want in life. What you truly want in life beyond what you think is possible or practical. You know, give yourself permission to dream big and imagine a life that excites you. How many of you honestly can say that you go throughout the day and you're thinking about a life, you're creating a life that excites you? And maybe it doesn't excite you right now, but you know what you're doing is creating that. And the reason people are walking around with a just get by mentality is that they're not excited about something. They aren't looking forward to something. How many of you are like me and you get bored easily? Like I get bored easily. I need to have something to look forward to. So you have to know what's coming, something that's going to excite you. All right. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to put in the chat, what is a goal that you're constantly thinking about right now? You guys, when we have a goal, it's always on our mind. Okay. So put in the chat right now. And I want to give you a second to do that because I want to look over these for a reason. All right. So put in the chat. What is it? What is a goal that you are pursuing right now, you're thinking about, that you want to do? Okay. So you're writing a book, buying a home. Okay, career, podcast. All right. Earning a career car. Okay, so you guys are seeing in the chat. I want you guys to be looking also in the chat and seeing the different things that are coming up. And I want you to determine. Okay, I want as many of y'all put it in there. If you haven't put it in there, make sure you put it in there. Okay, and you'll see why. But how many of you look, okay, when you're looking at all these, if you had to put a little star by the ones that you would say are ambitious goals, how many would you put? So just kind of take a look there. How many of these are ambitious goals? See, we can tell a lot of our thriving versus surviving mentality based on the goals that we're setting. And if you're setting small goals, you're kind of more in that lack survival mentality than the abundant. So I have noticed the only time that I've drifted into survival mode was when I did not have a big goal in front of me. All right. So it can't just be a goal. It needs to be a big goal. So some of you may not have a clearly defined goal, or for some of you, it's not big enough, or some of you, it's both. Like you don't have a clearly defined goal and it's not big enough. So look at that. We need both, you guys. We need a clearly defined goal, and then we need to assess that goal and say, is this big? Is this going to stretch me so that I'm excited and I'm, creating that? Because that's where that thriving is going to run into that. Okay. I also want to keep I always still want to keep a very big goal in front of me, and one that scares me, one that kind of stretches me, like one that kind of makes me sweat on the armpits. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Okay. So this Monday, we actually had a highly sought after pool designer come to our home and to present us this project for our backyard and the pool and the deck and all the stuff. And we had to put down quite a bit of money to meet with him initially and have him draw the plan. It's kind of like a pool architect, if you will. And then for him to fly here and meet with us. And it's probably just the most highly respected like pool builder that you could find. And it's just been a dream of mine since I was little to have this like incredible pool area and to have celebrations there, just have, celebrate with friendships out there, family, and really I would say over the last probably decade, I've been dreaming of having this person design and build my pool. He got pretty big and had a TV show. And so my husband and I would watch the show together and dream together about one day that he would build our pool. And so that's the last part of the number one I want to talk to y'all about. Thriving in this area of not settling and dreaming is you must regularly visualize your dreams. It's not enough to just set a goal. This is going to build your confidence and what's going to keep you kind of in this thriving posture. If you are visualizing, not just like thinking about it, it's not enough just to write it down and share it. That is really good and powerful, but for your mind to see it and visualize, like I can see this pool so much. When he presented to us, he knew my reaction. My husband knew the reaction too, because he could see it on my face and it wasn't my vision. And so we had to go back and re-look at and now he's doing another drawing to be able to do that. But it was so clear, right, in my mind, because for so long I've been dreaming about it. The other thing I just want to lastly say about this part, if you have kids, you guys, they're watching. If you have a spouse, they're watching. And so sometimes we want our kids to think bigger. We want our husbands to, dream bigger, but they're watching us. And especially with kids, if we want them to have ambitious dreams, we know more is caught than is taught. And so allow you to be the example for them to be able to do that. All right. So the second thing, all right, we're going to move on to number 2. The second thing we need to stop doing and start doing in order to thrive and not just be in that survival mode is we have to stop compromising and start setting boundaries. Oh, we could talk all day about this. But how many of you have ever done something you've regretted? I'm sure every hand is raised. But y'all, most of our regrets, it can be tracked back to not having strong enough boundaries in place in areas of our life, whether that's, with friends or someone, took advantage of us, or maybe, our children, and we missed hearing the best part of the day because we were distracted by our phone, or maybe you just didn't stick with your like hard cutoff time to end work and you saw the repercussions of that. But wherever you might be compromising now, you need to just set some clear boundaries. When we establish clear boundaries between work and personal life, that's going to prevent burnout. So my kind of little formula I would give y'all is no boundaries equals no peace, which creates burnout. So if you are feeling like a lack of peace, or if you're feeling a burnout, it's because there's no clear boundaries. And so that's a must to avoid that. And sometimes it's obvious where we need to set boundaries, and sometimes it's not as obvious. So a good indicator where we need to set boundaries is to look at your frustrations. It's easy to identify what are we frustrated with in our life. And that's a good indicator of where we need to start setting some boundaries. So for example, if you're working too much and you don't have enough time with your kids, you can implement a hard cutoff time at work. One thing I do for the summer is I have set working hours because I work from home, and then I cut them off at a certain time. Certain days look different, and my kids know what they are. They have a summer schedule that they're not excited that this mama gives them, but I'm teaching them discipline and I'm teaching them things. And then during the school year, I have the hour that they come home from school. That's a present time for that 1 hour that I don't schedule calls or do anything during that, so I can be present with them. Another example of really needing to set a boundary would be, let's say if you're getting sick all the time or you're feeling tired all the time, it probably has to do with your sleep or your exercise or your lack of exercise or your overall eating habits. But you can absolutely put in a boundary today to start and have a hard bedtime or a simple workout routine or drinking more water or taking more vitamins. And lastly, I would just say about boundaries, because again, we have a lot we could say about this, but I see so many women, one of the things that they need to put in place is taking care of themselves. Taking care of themselves. I think Caroline and I'll probably talk a little bit more about that at the end. But I want to encourage y'all, prioritize your self-care and ensure that you allocate time in your life for rest and for doing things that you enjoy, and of course, your family. So that kind of leads us to number 3, which talking about prioritizing. So the third thing to stop surviving and start thriving is to stop procrastinating and start prioritizing. We've got to stop procrastinating and putting certain things off and to start prioritizing. I really believe that procrastination is one of the biggest robber of our dreams. But why do we procrastinate? I mean, we know this, right? But a lot of times it's fear-based. We're not as confident to do the task at hand. And so we know we like to feel safe. We run from danger. So anything that feels hard, we actually we're going to put that off. But probably the even bigger reason that we don't, that I think we procrastinate more than even fear is that we just don't manage our time well. And I'm a big believer in time blocking. And when you've identified your priorities for the year, and if you've been on some of my past, my January webinar that I always do, we talk about to identify those priorities for that season, for that year, and time blocking them in order of importance. It's a game changer, and it will kick that procrastination, y'all, in the booty. Okay. I'm telling y'all. So you want to make sure that you have identified your priorities and really time blocking it to be able to do that. The other thing you have to watch out for is perfectionism. Who relates to that? All right. Put it in the chat. Perfectionism. All right. Or perfectionist. If you know, I see, oh, me. Okay. There's a lot. A lot of you relate to that. So you've got to recognize that perfectionism can lead to procrastination. And maybe you've really not connected those two before. So we want to aim for progress, not perfection, and really celebrate the small achievements along the way. I think we minimize the small achievements. I think one of the things that's important to do, we talked about this recently in our mastermind, is writing down your achievements at the end of the day, just even 2 or 3 things that you've done well. So I often share that the number one motivator for a human is progress. Did y'all know that? The number one thing that's going to motivate any human being is progress. So when we're seeing progress, we will never be in survival mode and we will always be in thriving mode. So I urge for you not to think that there's going to be a better time to go after that dream or to take that vacation or whatever you put in there, ask for forgiveness or enjoy the fruit of your labor or tell someone that you're sorry or start that project or call your parents or go visit that old friend or put something on hold for your kids for this season. I saw this little poem the other day and I just thought it was so cute and I want to read it to you, but it's called Before the Coffee Gets Cold. It says, don't leave anything for later. Later, the coffee gets cold. Later, you lose interest. Later, the day turns into night. Later, people grow up. Later, people grow old. Later, life goes by. Later, you regret not doing something when you had the chance. Life is a fleeting dance, a delicate balance of moments that unfold before us, never to return in quite the same way again. Regret is a bitter pill to swallow, a weight that bears down upon the soul with the burden of missed chances and unspoken words. So let us not leave anything for later. Let us seize the moments as they come, with hearts open and arms outstretched to embrace the possibilities that lie before us. For in the end, it's not the things we did that we regret, but the things we left undone. The words left unspoken, the dreams left unfulfilled. So I want y'all to write down just right now, what's one thing? What's just one thing? I don't want you to write a bunch, but one thing that you know that you would regret if you didn't do it. And maybe it's just a simple calling someone to reconnect or an apology to someone. Or maybe it's finally saying, God, if you're in it with me, I'm going to take that first step. I want you to declare today, like, let's not procrastinate one more day. What's that one thing? And if you can do it today, do it today. If it can't be done in a day, it can be started today. All right. And number 4, this is a big one. Stop comparing and start sharing. You will never be thriving if you're walking around in comparison mode all the time. And put this in the chat if you can relate. This is a big one for me that I've had to work through and still have to work through. So, and what I mean by start sharing is sharing your own unique gifts. All of us on this webinar have different gifts that God's put inside of us. So I want us to shift our mindset from comparison to celebration. Acknowledge and celebrate the success of others, knowing that it doesn't diminish your own worth at all. Like, there's room for all of us. God says that throughout his word all the time about his abundant resources. So I know y'all that this is easier said than done. And I have really struggled in this area. In fact, last year at our Refresh Retreat, we had to identify something that was really negatively impacting us, and we burned it in the fire. And I love that part of our fireside. And mine was comparison. And I think in the world that we live in today, that this is a battle that every woman is facing. So put comparison if you struggle with this like I do. I think most women believe that in order to be considered a woman who is thriving, that we must have these successful husbands with thriving date-filled marriages all the time, well-behaved children who excel both at school and sports, a blossoming career that comes so naturally that it's effortless, this Pinterest-worthy home, a wardrobe that looks like a designer but costs very little, and it covers our toned body as a result of our daily workouts, with our kale smoothies afterwards, and of course our wrinkle-free, sun-kissed skin all wrapped up in this beautiful carefree smile and super white teeth. Yay! Okay, like, that's just exhausting, right? But here is the deal, y'all. That life does not exist. Like, it doesn't, all right? But we are killing ourselves trying to live it. Let me say that again. That life does not exist, but we are killing ourselves trying to live it. And the best way for us to thrive is to run our own race. You have one responsibility, one, and that is to use the gifts that God's put inside of you to make a difference for him. That's why he gave them to you and not to me. So in order to thrive, know your strengths. I'm a big believer. My coaching clients, we do strength finders. And so we evaluate that and we look at your top 5 gifts and your strengths. I love spiritual gifts. That's another one to look at. But you have to, it's one thing to know them. And I think a lot of people take these tests, but the problem is they don't know how to use them. They're not like knowledgeable enough to really know how to apply them to actually activate those gifts inside of you. So you got to know them to use them. But I want to just say, ladies, like you are smart and you are so capable. And one of my favorite things to remind myself is, when I start to be in that comparison mode, is to say, greater is he that lives inside you than he that lives in the world. How can I use these gifts to bless others? How can I use my gifts to bring joy to others? He doesn't give us for our own selfish reasons or boasting. The only reason he gives us these gifts is for his glory and to bless others. It's that simple. None of us are a copycat. God created you specifically and intricately for a divine purpose and assignment. So along the way, as we are using our gifts, why do we start to question ourselves or question like what's happening or not happening? It's because you've started to listen to the wrong whisper. I was told years ago, I don't know where I heard someone say this, but it's like you have two little guys on your shoulder. You got the devil on one side and you got the angel on the other side. And all day long, we're going to get to choose which of the whisper, which one we're going to listen to, which voice. God is whispering things like, you're capable. I will help you. I put these gifts inside you. I've been hearing that so much lately that God's like, Amy, you're not doing this by yourself. Like, I'm going to help you. I'm so grateful for that. Like, I'm overwhelmed that I have the creator of everything that is whispering, he's going to help me. Are you kidding me? So he's telling us, you are capable, my daughter. I am going to help you. I put these gifts inside of you. But on the other little shoulder, we have the father of lies who's whispering, you can't. You don't have what it takes. It's not going to happen for you. Are you kidding? Yeah, maybe for her, but not for you. See, the enemy wants to do everything he can to make you ineffective for God. Let me just say that again. Let that sink in. The enemy wants to do everything he can to make you ineffective for the kingdom. So instead, we have to say, God, show me how I can use my gifts for your glory. He doesn't give us these gifts for us. It's for him and for others. But we must be diligent to seek how we can use them to make him know. And so you can go to the Father today and say, God, how can I use these gifts? Lord, show me how I can use the gifts you've given me for your glory. And God gave each of us unique gifts so that we would function better together. We were purposely created. Like, I am so thankful. And, y'all will always have grace with me with technology. Y'all know that. Okay. But I know what my gifts are and what they're not. And so we know that we need each other. We were created for companionship and for teamwork, not to do life alone, which leads me to number 5, our last point. And our last point to stop surviving and start thriving is to stop isolating and start collaborating. It's so sad how many women feel like they stay isolated. Y'all, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy, but it's so worth it. I want to encourage all of us, build a support system. You have to be proactive with this. It's not going to just happen. Surround yourself with a supportive community. Join groups that align your interests and values. Our Refresh community is women who want to make kingdom impact without sacrificing their values and their family. We're always going to have that filter. So if that resonates with you, and some of you are already plugged into our Refresh community, and if you're new here, welcome. We're so happy that you're here. But you can join our Facebook group, and you can join our prayer calls, and you can join our events and be a part of the community of women. And I know it's so refreshing when you find your women, you're like, yes, these are my people. Oh my gosh, where have you been all my life? But if you're someone who says, man, I know that God's put me here for a purpose and assignment, and I want to fulfill. I want to make kingdom impact, but I also don't want to sacrifice doing it, because I'll tell you, just because you're doing the work of the Lord, you can still sacrifice. And our first place as women, our first ministry always is in the home. And I had to learn that the hard way. That's another day for another time. But I don't like saying that you hear all the time in all these leadership circles that it's lonely at the top or leaders are lonely. I don't believe y'all it has to be that way. And I can tell you I spent so many years operating in that and it wasn't healthy. And so collaboration with others isn't just something that we should consider, it's a necessity in order to thrive. Okay, so if you want to thrive, you guys, collaboration is it's a necessity. It's a must. It's so important that we connect with mentors, with peers, with networks that encourage and uplift us, providing the necessary support and inspiration to thrive. Like we all need it. It doesn't matter who you are. Like we all need support and inspiration. And I believe our best investment is building and nurturing genuine relationships, creating a reciprocal space of both encouragement and growth. And I love collaboration because I really believe, y'all, I really believe that we're better together. Okay, put that in the chat if you believe that too. If you know that you want to make collaboration more of a priority right now in your life, put that in there. One of my favorite groups to collaborate with is our Refresh Committee, who's a lot of them are on here. I've seen Arena and Tanya. Thank you, Tanya, for helping today. And Carolina, who I'm going to introduce in just a second. But I'm so excited I get to bring one of these ladies to collaborate with me right here on the webinar today. And I met her over 3 years ago when she attended our first Refresh Retreat. And I have seen her fight to thrive in her life and that she is not willing to settle for less. And I love and admire that about Carolina. And so I asked her to share some ways that she's thriving in her life and specifically how attending our women's retreat. And if you have experienced the women's retreat Refresh and you've been, I want you to put in the chat like your favorite thing about it or what was one of your takeaways. But asked her the last few years that has helped her thrive. So based on her going these last few years to the retreat, how is that helping her thrive in her life? And today is just a tiny bit of how to thrive. But out of all the events and the webinars and programs I do, the one that I feel most passionate about, y'all, is our live Refresh Retreat that we do in the fall, because we get to pause from this everyday life, all that busyness that we're just trying to survive through, and get away to really examine if we are living the way that we want, to have the space to make the adjustments and to come home and actually make the changes. So before I bring on my girlfriend, I want to show this quick video. It's just like a minute. I pulled up the other one, so now it's going to just take me a second to pull up the other one. So as I'm pulling up the video, if you're on here today and you've attended the retreat in the past, why I'm pulling this up, just put in the chat, what was your biggest takeaway from the retreat? And then we'll get this video up in just a sec.
Direction.
All right, you guys, I get all the feels watching that. So love it. All right, so let me pull up my beautiful friend. Let me find you. Carolina, where are you? All right, there she is. Hello, my friend. How are you? Oops.
There you go. Hello, everyone. It's so great to be here. Thank you so much for the honor of having me one more time and be able to just talk away like girlfriends and I mean, you know that I'm a fan of not only you, so I mean, I love you as a friend, I love you as a person. You're just such an amazing, all well put together woman. But I love I know your heart and I know the purpose that you have behind this retreat and behind the webinars and everything else. And I just love adding to the pure cause. So I know that it's all glory to God, but He uses you, your gifts, your talents, so that we can, so you can help other people, other women like myself and everybody who's in here. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for the sweet words. See, that's why we have to collaborate too, right? Our
Yes.
real friends. We just are such a breath fresh for our oxygen to our soul. So thank you. Well, Carolina, I'm just so grateful God has aligned us and brought us together a few years ago. So tell everybody who may not know you in our refresh, if they're not a part of our refresh community, just a little bit about you and maybe how many years you've attended the retreat and how you heard about it. How did you end up coming for the first time?
Okay, well, so I'm Carolina. I live in Miami. I'm originally from Colombia, and I've been living here since I was 16 years old. I am married. I have two beautiful children. I have a daughter, Camila, and I have a son, Mariano. And I've been married since I was 21 years old with my high school sweetheart, and we're happily married. And I'm a woman of God. So pretty much that's who I am. I'm also a businesswoman. I love business. I'm an entrepreneur. So, like all of us here, we're just, women. We handle it all, right? We do it all. So that's pretty much. I heard about the retreat through a really good friend of mine, and it's a really good friend of Amy, Ari. And I've been looking for something like this for many years, but every time that I looked for something, it was very secular. So I attended to different webinars or different things because I believe that knowledge is power, and the only way that we're going to get better is through that. But I never really got to experience or saw a retreat that pretty much integrated everything in our lives, but with the main center to be Jesus. So when they talked to me about the retreat, obviously this is a retreat that is 3 4 days away from your house, from your home, from your kids, from your family. And as women, we tend to not cater ourselves. We cater everybody else, but we never cater ourselves because we just simply don't have the time. No, something else is going to come up first, and I decided to be very bold. I was very broken. The first time I went to the retreat, I was going through a lot of personal issues. And I literally said to myself, if I don't do something like this, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna survive, and I'm not gonna be able to continue because I know that I need to fix my life in general, not just in one area of my life. It was like a general thing. So that's how I came to the first retreat.
Awesome. Awesome. And it's just been a joy since then to watch you just be very intentional with wanting to thrive in every area. And sometimes I think women, we get so fixated on one, but what I've really noticed about you is like, you're like, no, I'm going to be very intentional in all these. So, just a couple questions I wanted to ask you, Carolina, to share today that I know will inspire other women to want to thrive and also understand, because I know both of us attend this retreat. I put it on, but it's, I did it out of a need because I knew I wanted something like that too. And I think we need it to thrive, obviously, right, for the rest of the year to get filled up. So can you share maybe a personal experience where you transition from merely surviving to truly thriving, and how did attending the retreat play a role in that transformation for you?
Okay, so like I mentioned, I was very vulnerable at that time. I was going through a lot of issues with my personal life, like in the family issues, and I didn't know if I was at wrong. I really thought that I was at wrong. I really thought because we've been trained since we're little, not only by our families but by the world to be a certain way. and to do certain things. So I did that. I went ahead and did exactly what the world was telling me to do. And in my perspective, or what I was actually suffering with, it was boundaries. I didn't have any sort of boundaries whatsoever with anybody. Why? Because I was taught very little. Say hi to that person. You better say hi. Go give him a kiss. Even if I didn't want to say hi when I was little to whoever came, along. No, you gotta go to the party because they invited us, so you have to go. You cannot not go. Call that person for her birthday because it's her birthday, so you have to call. You know what I'm saying? Like little things like that. Or like, I was invited somewhere where I didn't want to be invited. I didn't have the time, and I felt bad because I didn't want to make them feel bad. Or, hey, can you do me a favor? And, can you help me with this? And I'm thinking here, I don't have the time to say no, but I still went and did that favor. So throughout the years, after doing and doing and saying and being the yes girl for everything, I forgot who I was and I forgot what I wanted. And I forgot, and I'm here drowning. And I'm like, what's going on with me? Who am I? Why is this? And then the people that you help the most sometimes are the people that hurt you the most at the same time. So that's when you start questioning, but why are they hurting me if I've been there for them, if I've helped them so much? And that was my motive. That was my situation, that I'm like, I've been such a good person. I've been there for, for people, and people that know me, they know that's my personality. And I didn't know how to say no. So when I went to the retreat, one of the takeaways was that boundaries. I started before going to the retreat, I was reading a book that my friend gave me, and she said, read this book. It's called Boundaries. So I went really deep into that. Then I have really good friends that they're just, they've been there for me. Irina being one of them, she's here. And the motivation and giving me courage and encouraging me and teaching me, like literally, because what we learn about the world is complete opposite of what God says about us. So he does us to, he sets us boundaries. He teaches us that we need to say no. He teaches us that we need to love him first and love our neighbor. But at the same time, if we don't love ourselves, how are we going to love our neighbor? How are we going to be able to do that? So by going to a retreat, I think we talked, I think the first one was about that. It was about boundaries. It was about when to say no, even to your own family, to your own kids, how to implement work, like you just said, lifestyle, family, friends, all in one. But at the same time, you taking care of yourself. So the fact that I decided, you know what, I'm going to take this 4 days, I'm going to spend money on me, and I'm going to go ahead and get, learn about whatever you have to say. And that was exactly what God did. He taught me on those 3, 4 days. And he taught, he showed me that it is okay to say no. I don't have to be likable by everyone. That's not my identity on what people think about me, or what if I do something for them. Even if I say no, they still have to love me. So that really helped me, and that's when my journey started. So for me, it was first the boundaries, and your retreat helped me with that. And to see that that was something godly, that it was a godly way to do it, it was life-changing for me.
Wow, I love that. Well, so many people were relating in the chat as you were talking, and it's hard to try to live the ways of the world, but then God starts to stir up, for you to know that there has to be a better way and a different way. And so, because we're so busy in the day to day, it's hard to do that. But when we take that time and you are, at the retreat, you guys, you really have the workable time. It's not like you just hear information. You're going to work through those things. And what you did, Carolina, is you put yourself in a position to hear from God clearly. And so I would just say for all of us, like I'm sure all of us on here, if we are a Christ follower, if we're wanting to go deeper in our faith, we have to position ourselves to hear him clearly. And I'm someone who faithfully does quiet time every day, but it's different than when you literally pause all the things going on and you can just go for the few days and be able to hear him. He really does want to speak to us. So I love that you showed that. All right. Share what specific areas of your life did you focus on during the retreat to achieve just more harmony, balance, fulfillment? How did this like integrative approach of how we do it at the retreat kind of help you thrive?
Okay, so on the first retreat, that's exactly what happened. I needed to learn to say no. So by me learning and being okay with saying no, because one thing is that you learn, but then another thing is doing it. When you say no and you see the other person's face, when you're literally telling them, no, I'm sorry, I can't help you. No, I'm sorry, I can't go to the event. No, I'm sorry, I can't do this. It's a different story. So being okay with my no and acknowledging that, and the retreat, from class to class that we went, that you showed us different scenarios and different examples, testimonials and things like that. You kind of like retrain your brain. So the retreat is more like a retraining of your brain, and saying, okay, this is what is being taught to me, and now this is how I need to retrain my brain and tell myself, okay, go ahead with that, and then start acting. So as soon as when I came back from the retreat, I started implementing that in my life. And I started putting boundaries. And then a lot of things happen. I mean, a lot of things after that, you're going to get a lot of rejection. You're going to get a lot of, surprising, like what is going on with her, but little by little, it's a win. Every time, every reaction that I got, even if it was positive or negative, for me was a win, because I knew I always say I gave the no. I taught myself how to say no in my 40s. So and after that, you know what, everything has come down to, like, where I needed to be. And the great thing about it is that I get to say, before you kind of like blame everybody else, in the sense that, oh, I'm doing this because of my kid, or I'm doing this because of my husband, or I'm doing this because this is what they expected from me. Now I get to say, I'm doing this because I want to do it, and I need to do it. And the retreat is a part of it. Like, my family already know that time comes in my life and I'm gone. I'm away. They're not gonna be in between. Now, the most beautiful thing that came after the retreat is that I always been so focused, oriented on my job, family, and everything else. But I didn't really I always wanted to have my spiritual life be number one, like how they teach us, right? But one thing is, like I said, one thing is what they teach us or what we learn, and another thing is actually doing it. So I never really put my spiritual life before anything else. And after the retreat, I really, really started acting on that. So I started putting my spiritual life first before anything else. And it's been amazing, because it's a reward that no money can buy that. No thank you can be enough for that, because you're not doing it for anybody. You're doing it for the Lord. And just the God opens up so many, he's opened up so many doors for me, that it's just been incredible to see. And that's only giving him, I don't give a lot, because obviously I have other things going on, but I can only imagine, if I give him more time, what he can do with that.
That's so powerful. Oh my goodness. I think one of the things that you said that was really, I don't want people to miss, is it's one thing to like learn something, but it's another thing to apply it. And, our whole, the refresh, actually, it's called a destination transformation. And there's a lot of places we can go to get information. You're getting information today. It's not really transforming you, though. And so that's the thing, is in order to make changes, something has to happen inside of you. And so when we just go to like conferences or hear something, it's good information. Like Carolina said, knowledge is power. But if we want breakthrough, if we want God to give us a fresh revelation, it's going to take more than that. And that's the transformation piece that happens. So, all right, one more question, we'll wrap up. What would you say are some actionable strategies or just insights that you gained from the retreat that that ladies who are considering attending, they could look forward to, and why you believe that this is essential for women to thrive instead of just surviving?
Well, like I said, I always heard about retreats. So it's either you go to church and they're talking about, hey, we have this retreat going on for couples, or for women, or, or young adults, or this, and that's great, but they only focus on one particular thing. Then you have the regular secular retreats, which is, do you want to be a millionaire? Do you want financial freedom? Then come to my retreat. Or, do you want to believe in Buddha? And I have a lot of friends from my country that they're just so into that, and they just travel the whole world, looking for talking to the universe. and, you know, and dealing with the whole water scene. And, you know, it's just the necessity that people have. It's incredible, but they don't know, they keep on going to this because they don't get fulfilled. What I like about your retreat is that, and I wrote it down here, it's pretty much, it focuses on your career, on your relationships, and self-care, and in everything. So this retreat is for everybody. It's for women who, and we are, I don't care in what position or what exactly are you doing in life or how old are you, but women, we carry a lot. We just, you know, we carry the weight of everybody on our shoulders, of the world in our shoulders. God made us so special that we can actually, you know, deal with that. And man can't do this, obviously, and that's why we're completely different than them, right? But this retreat will literally talk to you for every area of your life. So if you are in, you know, not happy with your financials or with your career, this will treat, you know, this retreat will talk to you about that and will help you how to navigate that life, you know, and get to the point where you're gonna be happy and you're gonna be, you know, joyful. If you're dealing with something personal with your family, the same story. So this retreat is actually, it's a retreat for women in general, achieving high capacity women, but it's based, it's Jesus, you know, it's godly oriented. So that's the beauty of it, that everything that we speak about here is Bible based. Everything that we speak about here is about, like what you said that I loved, that competition, that instead of having competition, let's share. I mean, how many times when we're little, they ask us, where did you get those jeans from? And you're like, no, I don't want to. I mean, I have a 14-year-old and she gets mad every time, you know, somebody else comes and buys the same jeans because obviously she wants to be the one wearing it. But when you grow up in life and you see like, hey, if I like something, I want everybody else to have it, right? Like that's the beauty of it. So this retreat, we're going to see this. And I also, it's a long story. I'll have my testimony for another day, but I literally experienced God in such a personal way that I've been walking with the Lord for over 20 years. And I have never experienced him like that, like I did in the retreat. And it was so weird, out of character. I was asking God to show that I wanted to see his face. Obviously he didn't show me his face, but he like literally came to me in such a way that it was undeniable that it was him. So God is there. You come back better. You come, you know, recharge. You need to make the time for yourself. You need to spend money on yourself. You need to, you know, do this for ourselves, because if we are better, everybody else around us is going to be better, obviously.
Absolutely. Well said. If we are better, you guys, the best investment is in ourselves, because that overflows into our families, into our businesses. And like Carolina said, it really touches on all areas of your life. So I always say it's like a magnifying glass that you get to like look through and really check every area and kind of make those changes while you're there so you can come home. And I saw someone put in the chat, Carolina, you know, when you were talking that, yeah, sometimes it's harder to make those changes. And one of my personal goals, y'all, is when y'all are there is not, it's to be able to allow, like every minute is so intentional to create the breakthrough so that you are making the changes and you're equipped to doing it, right? Like we want to
Exactly.
equip you to know how to go home and make the changes, and you're going to work on it. You're going to have a plan before you leave. But of course, my favorite thing that you talked about was just your encounter with the Lord. And I would just say, ladies, this really is a weekend with you and God. You know, there's other women around there, and God will speak through the other women that are there too. There's so much beautiful collaboration. You're going to make amazing friendships. You're going to probably find, you know, collaboration, even alliances that you could have in your business. You just never know the women that you're going to meet there. But most importantly, if you're someone who wants to go deeper in your faith, or you want God to really reveal to you, you know, what your will is, your purpose, like more of that in all those areas, because he will give us vision for our life, for our family, for our careers. But we have to, again, position ourselves to do that. So I know that Carolina and I both feel that attending this retreat is a vital part of us continuing to thrive in all of those areas of our life. So this is really one of the single most important things. You know, I know that women have told me that they do now to really help them get clear on God's direction for their life. So so thank you, Carolina, so much for sharing
You're
today.
welcome.
from your heart and just letting everyone be inspired. Thank you for your commitment to thrive in every area of your life, because I know iron sharpens iron, and we're all better. I'm better now for knowing you, and that we get to do this fun life together. So I want to just close out to give y'all a few needs to know about the retreat, and really tell you to go pray today, because early bird ends, you guys, on Saturday. So if you're coming, get your friends there. Or if you haven't made that decision, really pray, because I believe God will give you the green light. I do believe God wants you to be there, because I know that, just like Carolina said, I had a crazy revelation. There's things I've experienced every single year that I've never experienced with the Lord. And so many women, we have so many stories. So I do this because I want that for each of us. Like, that's it. I just, it gets me so fired up to think about, okay, what is God going to do this year? Like, how is he going to move in and through us this year? So I can't wait to find that out. But here's the need to know. Let me give you the who, what, when real quick to wrap up. Who, okay, this is for high achieving women who are pouring out so many areas of their life. Like Carolina said, we pour out so much, you guys, to our families, our careers, relationships, our community, our churches, and you need to be filled up. I can't tell you how many women I mentor. I'm like, who's filling you up? Like, who is? So I really felt, when the Lord put this on my heart to do it, I wanted to pour into those women. And so this really is a spiritual refreshment. Like, just imagine like a water hose, filling you up so much. So I think that leaders can recognize that the best investment is in themselves. So I tell people all the time, it's not for everyone, because if women aren't in a place where they understand the value of investing in themselves, pray for those friends that they'll see that value. But this is really for who are those women that value and know that they want to grow personally and spiritually, and know that investment is a critical part of them becoming who God's created them to be. And, I have been leading since a very young age, and I can tell you that your family and those that you lead, they hope and pray that you do something like this to better yourself. They want the best version of you. So the least selfish thing that you can do. So it really does break my heart when women don't get that, and that they are like, man, but I have to be away from the family or this. Trust me, they will thank you. They want the best version of you. Okay. So when is this retreat? It's September 26th through the 29th. So Thursday, September 26th through Sunday, September 29th. It's at the Hutchinson Shore Resort and Spa. You can go to refreshwomensretreat.com, refreshwomensretreat.com, or amyallgood.com. Either one will take you to the information. It's all included in this 4-day transformative event. It really is a pause, as you heard, spiritual, personal growth at its best. It's not either or. So that's why so many of us love this, that are busy women, because we're getting it all encompassed in one. It's with an amazing group of like-minded but like-hearted women who really it's a weekend to gain clarity and come home with just more of a renewed sense of purpose. And our vision for the retreat is to really create a space for women who lead in the business sector, who lead in ministry, or who lead in the home, to go deeper in their faith. And we want to pour out love and wisdom and truth into every woman, so that they can leave spiritually refreshed to go home and have an overflow to those that they lead. And so I can tell y'all, we're planning for this all year long, and we plan each part of the retreat with such intentionality to not just give women the information like so many events, but to create transformation. And we do this by life-provoking questions. Like, you're going to dig deep, ladies. If you like to go deep, you will love this retreat. And just different exercises to help you digest on your own, and in small groups after listening to the speakers. We leave space for the Holy Spirit to show up, and we're fluid and flexible in our time schedule. We've learned that. God showed us we have to do that each year. So we do some things out by the beach. The resort is beautiful. And I think the women really, every year, they're like, I felt refreshed as soon as I walked in. And our theme this year, I'm so excited, because I think it's so needed in the world today, is being famous in the home and in heaven more than in the world. So we have amazing women who've walked this walk, who I admire, tremendously respect, who are walking that out, and who I want to learn from as well, that are coming to be able to do that. So we are halfway sold out right now. So early bird pricing gives you 10% off of the event, and it ends this Saturday. Also, if you have a group of girlfriends of 5 or more, you can get 20% off for our group rate. So take advantage, you guys. I truly believe it will be the best yes. And if you're someone serious about personal and spiritual growth, going deeper, wanting to hear more clearly from the Lord, and also creating and being around amazing like-hearted women, that are after the same thing. You cannot afford to miss this weekend. So let me know if you have any questions, you guys. And as I'm doing the drawing, if you guys would just send me a DM if you win. You do have to be present to win. So good job for you guys on being present. Let me pull up my little wheel. Hold on, was just here. So just send me a DM with your address so I can send you your summer kit. All right, let me just let me go back in here. Whoops. Okay, here we go. Okay, is Amanda Davis, is she on? I saw Joanne, it was so close, Joanne, I saw Joanne. Okay, Amanda going once, going twice.
No, I don't see her on.
Okay, thank you, Tanya. All right, let's spin it again. And this was recorded, so you guys, if you want to share this with friends, then you certainly can. Sia and Nukabuk. Is she on? Sia? I see Beth. I see Jackie, Rocky. I see a lot of names. Okay. No Sia? All right. Let's do it again. Oh, Christy. I didn't see Christy on. Okay, let's try it again. It's coming close to some of y'all's names. I see it. Oh my gosh. I don't know who Sia is, but man, she needs to go do the lottery or something today. What are the odds of that? Is Suzanne Russell on? Suzanne?
I don't see Suzanne.
I'll see Suzanne. All right, you guys think your name. You got to think your name here. Oh my gosh. Elizabeth. Tammy, it was so close. I saw Tammy on. I think I double clicked it. Let's see if that's. Is Deanna O'Brien on?
Nope.
Oh my goodness. You guys got to visualize your name here. Okay. Jack. I think I saw Jackie. Jackie, you're on, right?
Nielsen.
Jackie?
Yes, I'm on. Thank you.
Yay, Jackie. All right, DM me your address. Congratulations. Yay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much. I'm so happy that you were here. If you didn't get to watch the whole thing, as long as you're registered, you'll get the replay. And if this was a blessing to you, make sure you share it with other ladies so they can be blessed today. And it was so great. I'm just so proud of y'all for taking this time and can't wait to see what you apply. And go get registered. Go get registered. Get your early bird. Bye, everybody.